All right, so it is Friday, November 1st, All Saints Day, I suppose. And can't hear him doing so now, but just a moment ago, Caspar Hauser's learning curve was chewing a bone in the background. Now he seems to be contented or relatively contented. I thought I would say something about the last piece that has evolved from this initial idea of utilizing space-time travel communication coordinates as a starting point for the creation of in some way, shape, or form, aleatory poem, or poem that involves the use of chance to determine, in this case, largely determine its vocabulary and to some extent form is also determined by the numerical values because I'm limited in a certain way in my ability to do the calculations, and those limitations create opportunities, right, for, I would say, staging the relationships between lines and stanzas and segments of the poem. Now, this piece, as you'll recall, or perhaps not if you haven't watched all of the videos, but this piece is the result of utilizing an anagram generator and reorganizing, because you can see through the back of this card because of the light behind it too. So I've got some notes on the back, but the front represents the space-time travel coordinate playlist items that a particular number of views prompted on Thursday, November 31st, Halloween in the morning, and then of course Aaron responded with his numbers, and then I thought though that and none of that really requires much more explanation than we've already provided. This was the first card, and this was the result of the first card, and that took us an hour to create this, and then this is the second card, I believe, or perhaps it's the third. I believe this was the second card, and we haven't transformed this one yet, utilizing the information utilizing the anagram generator, and then choosing from those anagrams designated based on those numerical values once again. We could choose a different set of numerical values because we have a different set of views today. So we could utilize these results from yesterday, and we could deploy a different set of values in making the anagrammatical selections. That's kind of interesting, and that is not just a snapshot of a particular moment of time, but one could say is would bring together two moments in time, a kind of conflux or confluence of either communicatively significative or merely random and aleatory numbers in it. And I believe this was the third card. That final entry that involves corrections is interesting metapoetically in terms of what we're doing. And on this one, that first series is almost a poem, it seems to me, in and of itself already, and almost doesn't even require the anagram generator, although I think it would make it more interesting. But I thought I would say something about the third piece that we provided. The first two, it seems to me, are fairly straightforward in terms of the operations. The third is a little bit more complicated, but, well, perhaps not more complicated, but somewhat open-ended in terms of the method of production, right? So it begins with, I suppose, this way that I read holistically and by means of whole letters, and sometimes excuse me, the cough is going to persist. It's a result of whatever cold I have, or whatever virus it might be that's giving me kind of gravelly voice and phlegmy composition. But that first phrase, "you go home," is very difficult for me as a dysgraphic who reads, in terms of shapes and context, not to read as the expression "ecce homo," which of course is from the Latin Vulgate translation of the New Testament, I believe the book of John, in which Pontius Pilate, presents Jesus and says, "Behold the man." And I don't, even though I don't speak or read Latin, but the phrase is nevertheless familiar to me, and probably in large part because of its distribution in art and also literature. It's the title of many, right, depictions of Jesus Christ in medieval painting, and then beyond into Renaissance and Baroque, and even beyond that. And so it has a large place in the history of art, that and the distribution of that title across these paintings, like, it makes it very familiar to anyone, I suppose, who looks at art, and it also happens to be the title that Primo Levi, utilized in his, Italian original version of what gets translated into English as "Survival in Auschwitz," and so and probably my the greatest amount of affect I have, with the term, it probably belongs to my reading of Primo Levi, even more than the classic depictions and beyond of Jesus Christ in art, and simply because its meaning seems to change, and it's not merely behold, the man, but behold, this idea of man. Like, what is man? It raises it as a question. Can this be what we are? So like I said, so as a dyslexic, this is what I read in those first two words. I don't even see "you go home," and the rest isn't really configured to me in terms of such phrases. I can see the individual words, and then I guess that's that reading is sort of reinforced by this word hominid, which comes from the same Latin word, I believe. The hominid means in the natural sciences and in anthropology, and it just means the entire family of apes, that include human beings, but is anthropology the word that I want? Primatology is anthro, and so anthro is the Greek word for man, right? In the same way that homo is the Latin word for man, and that word, so that's so it has nothing to do with the word home, the English word home, but my misinterpretation of this two set of words, right, is reinforced by the presence of this word. And so in the third piece, it kind of begins with a recognition, but I didn't state it, but it kind of begins with that recognition and moves on from there. And then I should say something about that that source piece from Strong's Hebrew and Greek gloss of the New Testament, and when I typed in this number in a Google search, 5315, and that is the BRE question number for echo, not for edge, right? Not for edge, but for echo. The second item up there was that Strong's gloss, and that particular word that refers to all of that vocabulary that lend itself to the poem. Just really seemed to, when I opened up that window, just really seemed to respond to, as potential, answers, like a creature, a living being, to that question, the new question, not the question, behold the man, but the question, what is a man? And so it just sort of inspired me to take out the handy, infamous, or effing number 2 pencil, and to sort of improvise around that vocabulary. So that one is both improvisatory and begins with a kind of content starter list, vocabulary list to work with. But I thought that it, unlike the first two pieces, might require some explanation for, how we got there. And I think, that's enough. Now, I may, since this is only the first of these flashcards, I may at some point move on to the second, this one. Or no, this is the first one. And I may move on to the second, this one, and the third, final one. There's some mathematical notes on here that I was taking because I was getting a little confused in the construction and trying to keep these numbers in mind. I may, finish this up, and then we may have a longer, poem. And as I explained, I would probably do so with a little ellipses. To mark off the segments between the results on the various flashcards, but I probably won't do that today. I really want to get back to a discussion and justification of why In the Grip of Q-Maganon doesn't promote conspiracy theories, but rather critiques and criticizes conspiracy theories that lead to violence in our democracy here in America, even though it's been censored for doing just the opposite in this very Orwellian sort of 1984 kind of Big Brother way. But we'll get, I think, back to that, and then if we I often will abandon a project in midstream, and it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in the project anymore. It just means that the I may be more interested in something else, and anyone who cares to can finish the project for me. I mean, this one is so strict that if you actually know the space-time travel communication coordinates, and you know that the anagram generator that I utilized was the one on the site called Wordsmith, you can actually complete the poem yourself, because here's the material right here. This is the vocabulary to enter into the engine for the second card, and this is the vocabulary to enter into the engine for the third card. Excuse my coughing again. And if you enter those into the Wordsmith and then utilize either the space-time travel coordinates for that particular day, which are available on the first of those pumpkin videos, then you can just as easily, or perhaps even more easily than myself, generate the results of the method, right, or the unnamed, poetic, form method of deriving, this material. Like I said, just as easily as I can, if you want to, or you can use in determining, which of the many, generated anagrams for any one of those lines. You can use space-time travel communication coordinates for whatever day that you decide to do it, or you can start fresh. You don't have to use these particular. I guess that's why, in a way, I'm not as interested in fulfilling the project as I might be, is because the method is already there, and it's so determinate, right, that anyone who wants to complete it can easily complete it on their own. But we may go ahead and finish it up. We'll see. As I said, I'm more interested in the justification of in the grip of Cumaganon, right now, and so we'll perhaps complete the fourth installment of In the Grip of Thermostatanon, today when I close this out, and I think that's about it.